Jasmine Brooks with Cascade Sports, and today's guest is someone who has coached volleyball for over a decade. She's a current club owner here in the city, as well as she's just someone that has a heart of service, really promotes equity, and is someone that I think is doing really good things in our community. So let's give a welcome to Diane Allen.
Thank you, Jasmine. I really appreciate that introduction.
For sure. So, Diane, just tell us a little bit about like your upbringing. Where are you from? How did you get into volleyball? What does volleyball mean to you? Like, just tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, basically, I am from Lawrence, Kansas, although I have lived in Kansas City, Missouri, or surrounding areas for over 27 years now. But I would say that I'm born and raised in Lawrence, Kansas, Jayhawk, Rock Chalk, Go KU. Um, I was born to two wonderful parents, Danetta Foster and Kenneth Foster. My parents probably weren't ready to have children. My mom was a very young mother, but I grew up like some people do. My parents fought addiction. And so I lived in a home like that and faced several challenges. But I want to be clear that we always had food to eat. Food was always on the table. We always had electricity, heat, all of those things, clothes on our back. Like we were not neglected in that way.
Yeah, but I also imagine like the unique experience that you had in your household, and this is Cascade Sports, and we really leverage sports, especially within our communities and people of color as well. And so, can you just share like what did sports mean to you, especially coming from the household that you did of addiction?
Yes. So growing up at a young age, I can remember being 12 and maybe having what some people might call a mental breakdown. I don't really know what a mental breakdown looks like, but I remember just um, being so distraught and unconsolable. And my parents had probably had a fight, and their fights were sometimes physical. And I just remembered that I did not want to be like them, and I wanted to do whatever I could do to not be like them. And so as a young child at 12, I thought, if I don't want to be like them, then I have to do everything exactly opposite of what they're doing in order to not be like them. And so that's what I proceeded to do. My parents were active physically, but I, didn't know them to play any sports or anything like that. My mom had been a cheerleader at high school, but so I got involved in track, basketball until I was told I was too short, um, volleyball, the mayor's youth advisory council, anything that I could do to be out of the house for as long as possible because I just didn't want to be a part of that environment. And I didn't know at 12 what else to do. And so, lucky for me, I fell in love with volleyball. And I was really lucky because I had a coach who also loved the sport. And not only did she love the sport, but like me, she wanted other people to love the sport as well. And I think that's very important. You can love the sport, but if you don't want to have other people have that same feeling that you do for your sport, then you kind of lack a little bit of something when you start to coach. And so I remember my coach, Mrs. Hopkins. Um, she's no longer with us, but I tell people that I coach now that volleyball saved my life, and I stand by that. And without her in my life, I don't think I would have been the person that I am today.
Yeah. I think that's a really big deal. Like volleyball saved your life. I mean, we talk about just the importance of family and what that means and how it sets a precedence to kids, and just kind of the future that they have, the skills that they learn, the mentality that they develop. Like all these things are learned within the home. And it's a beautiful thing that sports was your outlet. We know research says it that sports creates structured environments for kids. They learn life skills, they learn social skills, they also learn like that interpersonal relationship, right? Like the relationship that we have with ourselves. And so talk like about take us back to junior high, and that coach that you had. I remember you shared a story with me how your coach intuitively picked up on you wanted to not go home, and she allowed you to come into the gym and intentionally started spending more time with you and just allowing you that space to be there. So just kind of share like what that experience was like for junior high and just what it meant to you.
Yes, so when practice was not right after school, I would still stay and just stay there until it was time for practice. And she recognized that. And, she knew that I lived close and, you know, I just however she realized, she knew that I didn't want to be at home. And so my parents were not able to afford club volleyball at that time. And club volleyball was fairly new at that time, but or at least for where I lived in the Midwest. But um, my parents couldn't afford that. They couldn't afford volleyball shoes, and my mom worked very hard, very tirelessly as a hairdresser. But those were things that were extra. And I remember coach helped me get like an application through the school to purchase some shoes. I will say that they were Nikes and they fell apart. But anyways,
As you as you have on the Mizuno rep.
that's
I
right. That's right. But she realized that and she helped me. And, it wasn't like having a coach, having a club experience, but it was just knowing that someone was interested in me being there in that gym and helping me get better. And, you know,
core building and not just
yes.
performance focused.
Yes, yes. So that was really important. And it wasn't always about volleyball. Sometimes she would ask me about my day or what's going on at home, or, she got in there and she got to learn and understand about me and the family dynamics. And never once did she badmouth my parents or my environment. She, just tried to help me as, a young girl figure out and navigate those things the best way that an adolescent could.
For sure. I think I used to think it was corny when I first started. Um, when I became the head coach for Lincoln, I started like my varsity practices every single day. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Who wants to go first? And I say that every practice, and I still do it to this day. I mean, this is my third season. So the kids know to expect that from me. And when you hear stories like just what you said about your coach would ask how you're doing, how your day was, um, she got to know you outside of just you as an athlete, it really does make a difference. And it's just a small token of um, concern that I think really goes a long way with kids. And one thing that I really appreciate about you is you have such empathy and compassion, and you do a lot of things outside of coaching. Like you own the club, you work full time. Like this is not your full time situation, and you are like doing private lessons. You have even been gracious enough to like bring on or and give opportunities to like our high schoolers at Lincoln to give them the chance to play club, working out financial situations with them. And you still are providing an experience that's of quality and that is not them cheapening out. Just, like just because it's an opportunity for them, like it's still a quality experience. Um, so can you like share how you got into owning a club and what that experience has been like for you?
Sure. So, at a young age, I had an opportunity to go and play um, at a higher level after high school, and I would have loved to have done that. We're young, unfortunately, sometimes as young women, we make some other choices. And so I got involved with a man, and um, I got pregnant, and I found myself in that situation. And I had to ask myself how I was going to handle that situation, which, it's a very hard situation to be, at that age. And, what am I going to do?
How old were you at the time?
Yeah. Um, and
How old were you when you got pregnant?
yes, 19.
Okay.
Yes. And so, you're just beginning your life then. And,
It can be scary for
it's
sure.
very scary. It's very scary. And people ask me to if I could do it differently, would I? And I love both my children. The answer is yes, if I could have both of them. If I can't have both of them, then I'll just do it the same way. But
And
just
sidebar, I've seen you and your kids' relationships, like Zoda and I coach together, and I think it's the most beautiful like mother-daughter relationship. So they're very like lucky to have you.
thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that. So, when you find yourself in that situation, you have to say, I said, I don't think I can go to school because I need to make money to take care of a child that I'm bringing into this world. And so I dropped out of school, um, and got a job and then had Zoda. And then, I still played volleyball, adult league volleyball, corporate challenge volleyball. And then when Zoda was attending private school, I had an opportunity to jump back in. Just, I was, they were going to practice and I was like, okay, this is great, but I know I can offer a little bit more. I've got some skills that I could pass on. And so I started coaching, her throughout that year and throughout her years at private school and her younger sister. And so that got me back into the school coaching scene. And then I started coaching at a small club, what was a big club at the time, and then just a variety of clubs. And then as a person, I decided that I didn't exactly like what was going on. Um, I try to create teams where the girls are coming in at a similar skill level or, not having too many gaps in between because as any human being, as an adult or whatever, when you go into a situation where your level is here and someone else that you're working with's level is here, like you either have to train them up so that now we can move together as a team, or you have to keep going and then these people are down here. So in order to create a good team aspect, I try to recruit girls and put them on teams with girls at similar skill sets, so that they can learn and grow at the same time. So what was happening at that time as club is people were just putting people on their team for numbers, which I think still happens to this day. But you would see parents and kids upset, like, I'm on the bench, I'm not playing, and that is a hard thing to answer as a coach. It does get easier, but it is a hard thing to answer as a coach. And so I wanted a different environment. I also wanted an environment where I could help create leaders and help people see that, especially young women, that sports was something that they could do. And I wanted, an outlet for people. You don't know what's going on in people's lives or at home. And several times in this club, we've had people that have needed some other type of help. Something else is going on. They don't have money to wash their clothes, but they don't want to tell you, or, they don't have enough food on the table. Just different things. And so that opportunity to give back, to be involved in people's lives, not at a level where I'm asking you questions about your bills, but where I have an opportunity to say, what little I have, I'm happy to give to you because someone did that for me and it meant a world of difference. And so if I can do that for one person, that's enough for me.
Yeah. I think it's also important to share that you like your club is not what one might say is a handout, right? Like you have talented kids too. Like you're recruiting talent, but you're also um, finding talent in places that might not get the attention that they need. So you guys are developing kids, and your kids are going off to higher level clubs, right? And I say higher level as in those clubs might all be premiered or they might all be, they might be striving to go to nationals. And that's the reality of sports. Like you have some clubs that focus on going to nationals every single year, they focus on recruitment. And then you have some clubs that are focusing on development some that are just focusing on giving kids opportunities. And so I think you guys have really shown a bridge between the both, which is, has its pros and its cons. Um, and just to give the listeners an idea of what your club is, you have two facilities. You have around 20 coaches or 20 give or take, 11,
15 right now. Yep.
15, so over a dozen coaches, about a dozen teams, and you guys are premier and select. So that's that bridging of the kids that are you're giving an opportunity that might not normally get it, but then the kids that are good and not just good, but like they're already competing at that elite level. And I think that's like the self-esteem, the leadership, and the confidence that you guys focus on is making an impact. And with that, what do you like hope that your legacy will be from your club?
Um, well, I have a lot of goals that I'm working on actually. And I hope that people leave Eclipse and can say that they learned something here, that they enjoyed their time at the club, that they made connections. Because I feel like in girls' sports, we make connections that are sometimes lifelong, and those are important connections. So I want them to feel like that. And, beyond that, maybe they learned something that they could do for the rest of their life. Just you don't have to be college bound to play club volleyball. You don't have to play high school volleyball to play club volleyball. Just I want it to be a place where people can call home, where they can come in, you know, their day was bad, we hear about it. We ask about their mood elevator, which is something that I learned at work. And so it goes from 1 to 10, and some people say they're in the basement, but
Yeah.
when we have a person that says we're at a 4, we say, I let the girls know, like, this is your teammate, this is your family member, and she just said that she's at a 4. Is there anything we can do to help you? And usually they're like, they don't know. And so I have people, check in on their teammate throughout the practice, like see if your teammate's doing okay, check on her, see how she's doing, and then generally at the end of practice, we check the mood elevator again. And most times they've gone up on the mood elevator. So that's what I strive for, helping people feel good, you know, play better volleyball, have better workout habits, and, learn something they can use for the rest of their life.
Mm. The When you said feel good, um, I think of like and I'm kind of sidetracking, but not.
You're fine.
Just your like natural ability to be hospitable. Like I have been over your guys' house during a taco night and you're like welcoming me in, you're welcoming everyone. Like it seems like who you are naturally is a nurturer, and that's the space that you're creating. And just I think like that's just such a beautiful thing, right? Because that goes way past volleyball. And that's something that you said, like that's the legacy that's going to carry them. Are there any stories too that are from your club that have just really resonated with you, like the experience that the players and their families have had that have just really touched you from the work that you put in?
Well, I think one of the best compliments that we can have as a club. And I want to be clear, I don't just own this club by myself. I have a business partner. His name is Charles Cooper, and we work this as a team. But I want to say one of the best compliments and things that we can see is when players come back and coach for us,
Mm,
because they could go anywhere. They could go anywhere. And they contact us and they ask to coach for us. And so, that is like, that's the best compliment that I could receive from anyone. Like, your experience here was so great that you want to come back and give other people that experience. And so that's that makes me so happy. So I don't know what else, to say.
are there any like goals that you guys have? as a club? And is there any piece of advice that you would give to coaches that are trying to get into club that might be new as coaches, and any players also that are interested in playing in club?
Yeah. So for players that are interested in playing club, I would say make sure that you know when tryouts are. They're usually around that July 9th period. So tell your parents you don't want to go out of town during that time because you really need to be in town. I would say that also try to make sure that you are keeping in shape, and that doesn't mean losing weight, young ladies. That means you're just eating healthy, putting good fuel in your body, getting good gas out so that you are ready to go. And um, even if you're late to the game, it it doesn't mean that you can't play club. Contact a club, find out what you can do in between. Some people have time for private lessons. I'm giving a private lesson this Friday to someone who missed the gap, but we're gonna start working, see where they are, and see how they can, what they need to do to be ready for club in July. For coaches that are not coaching club and thinking about making that step, I would say think about the type of athlete that you are, especially if you played at a collegiate level, and realize that not every team that you coach is going to have that same mentality that you did. And so you have to prepare yourself for maybe having a few people that don't have that athletic mentality, that don't have that, I'm not going to let a ball drop on the floor mentality. And you have to try to help them get there. But if you're ready to take that step, I would say, reach out to a club, contact them, and, see what you can do. I would say we have a pretty tough interviewing process here. We want to make sure you know what you're talking about and make sure that, you're able to connect with young children because that's really important. I never want to be someone's last experience due to myself or, being a, a poor coach. Yeah,
Yeah. I was gonna think of something else, but I feel you.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And
Well,
then I forgot the last thing. Yeah, something else, but I'm not sure. Um,
um, goals, like what,
goals.
especially because you're a club owner and you're a coach, and you like your kids have played club, like Zoda got
Yeah.
offers, had offers to play college. Like you have truly seen the different perspectives of being in the sport of volleyball. So now, as someone who owns and still coaches, what is some of your goals? Um,
I would say that one of my goals is to grow my club. And we are one of those clubs that all have kids, on the same team for 3 and 4 years. And then I get to see them make that leap to other clubs. And sometimes it's very heartbreaking. My goal for me personally, is to not take those things personal. So that's my journey, like trying not to take it personal when I've been training someone and we've made connections and I know your family and all of that. And, we've been hanging out for 3 years and now you're going to jump to
yeah,
a
that's right.
club down the street from me or 20 minutes away. It's very hard, but also I love to see those kids grow. And, if I can't offer that opportunity to you, then, sometimes you have to go someplace else. And I respect that. I totally respect that. So my personal journey is trying to not take things personal because I have to remember at the end of the day, I'm running a business. These aren't my children, and people have to do what's the best for them and their children. Um, and then, becoming a place where athletes who are at a higher level find themselves wanting to stay and not just get those skills and
Yeah.
go on to, a national club.
Mhm. Well, even then, I think it was pretty cool because Zoto and I we coached together, and she was just telling me about Charles, which is your business partner, and the success that he's seen of developing teams to go off and go to nationals, and he is part owner at your club. So you guys have qualified individuals and coaches there. You guys are setting the precedents. You're setting a healthy environment, and you're able to provide a unique very down to earth experience that a lot of places don't always focus on because the club is where people pay. School is more culture focused, right? And we're still trying to win in high school ball, but it's not the same. So
Right.
what you all are doing is very unique, and I think it's very special.
Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing your story from just how volleyball saved your life and your heart of service to give. And really, truly, it's providing equity to girls here in our city. You have done that for my high schoolers at Lincoln, and I'm just very grateful that you have been a platform and a space for them. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
what you do, and thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. Have a great evening.
You too. Until next time.
Until next time.
This program is brought to you by the City of Fountains Coaches Association.